Welcome everybody to the first official episode of the Oregonite Hours. Today we have Pleiiades here. He is a good friend of mine and he has a few pieces of Oregonite. I reached out to him because I really was touched by his music when I was going through a pretty tough time about a year and a half ago, and he completely helped me change my mindset and start working on energy and realizing that the stuff that comes into your minds, the stuff that comes into your ears will reflect and it will turn into your life outside. So if you're listening to negativity and you have low vibrations and frequencies coming in, then your life is going to be surrounded by low frequency shit. And so Pleiiades absolutely changed my life. And so I wanted to thank him so much by giving him an Oregonite piece, and he decided to return the favor by coming on the very first episode. So thank you so much for being here on Earth Day as well. So happy Earth Day as well, my brother.
Yes, grateful to be here, my friend. Yeah, grateful for the opportunity for these technological platforms to help us spread messages and communicate and yeah, play whatever role that we can in assisting our fellow friends, brothers and sisters on this path that is very turbulent. It's a very crazy ride on Earth, no matter how you look at it, no matter what your circumstances are. So whatever role we could play in being our authentic self, striving towards being more of our authentic self each day is always going to help. So, yeah, thanks for bringing me on here, brother, with the opportunity to get some conversation flowing. So,
Yeah, for sure. Thank you again for being here. It's the pleasure is all mine. One question I wanted to start out with, you've probably gotten asked it quite a lot, but why did you choose the name Pleiades, and who are the Pleiadians?
yeah, so I guess the most simple way that I could say it is when I started doing music, I felt like I needed a music name. And I was like, man, it's so because like my birth name, there's lots of people on it. It wouldn't pop out. It would be hard to get recognized and like click in people's minds, And on Spotify, there's lots of people with that name. So I was like, man, I guess I'm gonna name myself Spacetime or something, whatever. I didn't really give much thought to it. And then all of a sudden I was having a really powerful meditative experience and the name Pleiades came just straight up. It was Pleiades the Pleiadian with the one eye originally, and that was my name for all my early stuff. Pleiades the Pleiadian. It's quite a mouthful, man. But then I just got another upload throughout time, so just change it to Pleiades, with three eyes, for obvious reasons. And during the time that name came to me, I knew very little about what the Pleiadians or who they are in relevance to our evolutionary timeline. I listened to a song from Teo and Jaden Smith called Pleiadian Message. I had heard of the Pleiadian teachings and come across certain things. I'd listen to lots of lectures on YouTube, Alan Watts and this and that. And so Pleiadian stuff would appear, and I didn't really understand exactly what it was, but then the vibration that it carried before I understood who they were, what they are, what relevance they have to any of this stuff, the vibration was just clear. It was like this is the resonant frequency that I want to be um, carrying with the music I make. So then I named myself Pleiades and went under that name. And then as the years went on, the understanding of who the Pleiadians are, to answer your second part of the question, man, who are the Pleiadians, right? There's so much I could say, but to make it very, very easy, um, all life in our galaxy was originated from the same seed, what many call the prism of Lyra. And before I get into all this, take everything with a grain of salt. It goes without saying, with the whole rest of this, everything that we converse on this podcast, of course,
Oh, go
But from one
totally.
vantage point, yeah, from one vantage point of galactic history, all of our life in this galaxy originated in the prism of Lyra, the Lyran constellation, and then it branched out into different systems from there. One of these branches from the original Lyran um, seeding was the Pleiadians, and they didn't originally go to the Pleiades. They actually lived and some other constellation, blah, blah, blah. And they actually came to Earth for the purpose of wanting to develop themselves spiritually. So these were higher frequency life forms that came into Earth. And in order to integrate with life on Earth, to harmoniously exist here, they had to merge their genetics with the primitive Earth species that was here at the time, which that's a conversation for a whole nother kind of talk. But they brought Earth human genetics into themselves, so then they became what's known as Earth Lyrans. And then eventually, as more extraterrestrial beings started to come to Earth in those ancient times, it started to become a bit chaotic with all the stuff with Atlantis sinking, Lemuria, and the Orions coming and Draconians and war mentality coming. The Pleiadians didn't want nothing to do with that, so they left Earth, and then that's when they eventually colonized in the Pleiades, what we know now as the Pleiadians. And these life forms have a very special connection to us because they literally have our genetics within themselves. So they not only see the importance of Earth's evolution, which, that's an interesting conversation, man, because Earth is kind of like, one thing I want to say is that everyone says, "Oh, I'm from Pleiades. Oh, I'm from Orion. Oh, I'm from Arcturus. Oh, We're all from all of them, man. There's not a single human
I
that
love that. Yeah.
doesn't have there's not a single human that doesn't have those extraterrestrial genetics. We are all a product of all of the different diverse species in our galaxy, and that's what makes Earth so special, is that Earth is an experiment to see if the genetics from all these different life forms that don't get along in the bigger galaxy, a lot of them fight. There's been wars, big galactic wars, that movies have been made to represent things like Star Wars and stuff, or representative of like what you may consider to be actual wars that have historically happened in our galaxy. And if life can exist in harmony on Earth, that shows a development in the peace of the galaxy. And so the Pleiadians see that. They see the significance of the Earth evolving, because that's not just going to benefit us, it's going to benefit life in all of the galaxy. And the Pleiadians have a specific connection with us genetically. So therefore, they are one of the most, and also they're like fifth dimension, sixth dimension. They're like right above us. Whereas Arcturians and Lyrans and all that, they're ninth, 12th dimensional. They're a lot higher in frequency than us. The Pleiadians are only like our older brothers and sisters. So they're a lot closer to us in vibration. So all of those factors involved, the Pleiadians are one of the most um, influential extraterrestrial groups that affect our growth and give us messages, because of all those reasons. It's easier for them, and it helps them grow by helping us, and they like it. And the way that they seem to put it is they don't have much else to do besides help this monumental ascension of this planet. So that's a long-winded answer, in depth
That
as
that
to
was so beautiful.
Glenn.
One thing that you were saying was is that everybody's in the galaxy's got a little bit of their piece of the pie inside of Earth. And if you imagine it like a big bowl
Yeah.
of soup, like you've got like everybody tossed their piece into the bowl of soup and now it's cooking. It's been cooking for a while. And you have the theories of like morphic resonance, and where if you have one part of your genetics that changes and raises in vibration, theoretically the other genetic fields are also able to attach to that vibration and raise as well. So it's like this is a collective effort of the galaxy to say, hey, us as all the consciousness of the all, we're trying to grow and we're trying to improve and we're going through this refinement process. And if we're able to show that we can love one another and forgive each other for the stupid shit that we do to each other, we can ascend in a sense and literally raise our collective frequency and become more than we think we are, because we have limitless potential. So
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we all are required for this, what you call ascension, bringing ourselves to a higher frequency. This idealistic heaven on earth reality does not get accomplished without everybody. It's not going to be a divide between the positive, high frequency people and the low frequency, negative people. It's going to require an integration of all of them because, you know, it's very easy to think that you got the right way because it's working for you, that you're vegan and you're meditating and you're sitting in the sun naked and you're, saying positive things and that you're more enlightened than your neighbor who does the opposite and all that stuff. But in reality, everything that is required is a full integration and understanding of our shadow aspects and all of the different contrasts within ourselves. So yeah, it's important to remember that the only way that we can truly grow and truly evolve is to recognize and fully accept that everybody is where they are at in a divine state. So if they are not doing anything that you consider to be positive, if they're in a pit of self pity and victim mentality and unhealthy habits and all these kinds of things, they are just as worthy as you in this journey. And that's where the way showers come into play. That's where, people who are in a higher frequency can do things like make a little podcast like this to help people who might be coming out of it, because yeah, that's what we're all here for, is to first do it ourselves, do the work ourselves, get our groundings ourselves, have our roots deep in the earth, get grounded in our lower chakras and understand all of these fears and pain that we've brought from past lifetimes and past lifetimes, and then have our higher chakras in the heavens and bring this cosmic energy into us and have both of those things. Put ourselves first, be selfish, do the hermiting, do whatever we got to do to make sure that we can hold that relative balance. And then it's just a matter of helping everybody else. And that's how the world changes. It's not just you. It starts with you, and then it's others. But
Yeah.
both are required. So the Earth is a very special place, and I think that everyone and everything in the galaxy recognizes it for that reason. It's a true learning of unconditional love. So yeah, it's a joy to be able to play that role while we're also at the same time like I always feel resonant with. I'm both. I'm the student and the teacher. As much as I play a role, everyone tells me day and night, about how the music has helped them, and it's helped me to make the music. Ironically, or divinely, I might even say, the music is something that my heart loves, so I create it, and it helps me heal, helps me understand my emotions, helps me understand my perspectives, helps me learn the things that I say. I don't just know everything that I put into rhymes sometimes. Sometimes I'm just rhyming to rhyme, and then these freaking things come out of my brain, and then they get formulated on the paper, and then I'm hearing it for the first time, and I'm getting chills and all that, and then I'm able to extend that feeling. And yeah, we all got something like that we're passionate about. That's effortless. You don't have to try to help others. You don't have to try to be like, oh, I'm the one that needs to help. I'm the savior. You just do what makes you feel good, and then other people feel good. And then the more you feel good, the more that you get more inspired thoughts, the more that you're in a resonant frequency and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, I
That's
don't want to get too much
absolutely.
on a tangent.
No, totally. I love all of this. I just want to sit here and let you speak for the next however long we can make it. But that's awesome. I love the fact that you spoke on making sure you're grounded in the lower chakras. That's something I try and talk to people a lot about because everyone's
Yeah.
like, you rarely get people talking about heart chakra, but they want the pineal gland, they want to be oneness, they want to have all these visionary experiences. But I'm like, if you don't have that grounded base in reality, you'll fly off tether and just go crazy. And like
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have that large amount of energy, your cup needs to be full from the bottom up before you can freely give to others. And then at that point, synchronicities start to come into life. The universe starts to listen and give back to you, and you just get rewarded by all of your giving, and then it's just a harmonious symbiotic relationship. And so one of the questions I wanted to ask is, the law of manifestation is something that seems to be greatly misunderstood in the public consciousness and in many areas of thought. You have a lot of people who think like, I'm just going to sit in a room and have my certain prayer beads and I'm going to meditate all day and nothing else is going to happen, but everything's going to work out for me. But coming from people who have actually made different things manifest in reality due to what we wanted to do inside of ourselves. What are some tips or different things that you did yourself that helped you really make this a manifestation into a reality? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple answer at the core of it that could go into a lot of different themes, but really the essential response I feel is an integration of both. And three things I would say. It is about being in the receptive frequency. Clear state is where meditation, things that get you out of your mind, your passions, yoga, dancing, all this kind of stuff, sunbathing. When you get in a state to where you're receptive and you're not thinking, not in thought, whatever you got to do to make it, you get there. It's not just meditation, but meditation's great for it. When you're in that state, you receive inspired thoughts. You receive visions of where you want to be, how to get there. Source starts speaking to you, whether you're sensitive to it or not. It does occur, and then you become more and more sensitive. That's step one: is to receive, become a conduit, a channel for you to understand where it is that you project yourself to go, how it is that you project yourself to get there, what steps that you can physically take. And then the second step is, of course, to do those things, is to, if you have this grandiose vision, something you want to do, you go into that, you get more and more specific, and then see what steps can you take day by day, no matter how small it is. What can you do to realistically start the journey of getting there? Because you realize these laws of the universe, that if you are holding this in your vibration, it is going to manifest. And the universe does create pathways for these things to happen. It is a natural process. Manifestation isn't some mastery technique. It's not something that only the most enlightened spiritual people do. It's like how the sun rises and sets and the moon suns
yeah.
rises and sets.
And
You
I
know,
would
it
even
is
argue to say that you're always manifesting your reality, positive or negative. It just depends on what vibration
a
you're in.
Precisely. It's whether it's conscious or not. And it's the co-creation. So what you said about the person sitting there in the room with the beads and not doing anything else, that's half of the picture. And the person that's going out and taking the action and doing, that's half of the picture. You require both, because it's a
Yeah, exactly.
co-creation with the universe. The universe is here to assist you, but it cannot do everything for you. You have to allow yourself to be open to it. And then the third thing is trust, complete faith that it is happening. If you're doing these things, but your unconscious beliefs are reflecting um, a distrust of these laws, a slight doubt, that is going to delay the process. It might even stop it altogether, because you're blocking yourself off from the flow of energy. You have to be energetically fully surrendered to the experience. And that usually starts with, a lot of teachers and stuff they say start small. You want to manifest something, before you manifest $1 million, try manifesting $10. Like, just say $10 is going to come to me in an obvious way, obviously magical way, that I can't, and you walk down the street, you find $10 bill, or someone walks up to you and just gives you $10, or some kind of thing happens. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, but usually start off small so that you can build confidence in these universal principles. And that's, it doesn't take any more energy to manifest $1 million than it does to manifest a penny. The only discrepancy is your perspective of it, your belief. So in recap, the three things that I really just witnessed happen in my life is to be receptive, get the inspired downloads, and don't question them when you're in a receptive state. My Kumu here always says, you can always tell which is the voice of source, because it's the voice of love. Whatever inspired thoughts you're having, you don't have to question them. The only questioning you should be doing is whether this is based in love or if it's based in fear. If it's based in love, it's always your true being. it's based in fear, it's always unconscious patterns being replicated in this moment. So you can recognize that by how you feel and just literally discerning if it's based in love and fear, and then doing those things. And that's where the love has to be there. If it's coming from a space of love, that means it's something you really want to do. So even though it might be hard work and you might put in lots of effort, it's fulfilling your soul. So it's not draining you. And then that's where you get into a space where you just rinse and repeat day after day. And then, I could genuinely say, like, the life that I've created or co-created or whatever, it's so natural. You look back on it and it's like, holy cow, wow, I am in paradise and having everything that I've really ever wanted, and I'm fulfilled in every way. I'm nourished. My survival needs are met. I'm taken care of, and going from the complete opposite to that in a matter of years, it happened very naturally because that's just how life is, and then you fall in sync with it and you don't question these miraculous occurrences where you meet somebody who presents this opportunity that is so extraordinary, and you receive this abundance or this opportunity or this idea or accomplishment or whatever that is so extraordinary. It becomes um, what I've always said is so surprising. It's not surprising. You just get in that state where it's natural, it's normal. You don't question these things anymore. Our natural state is abundance. Our natural state is to be taken care of. And, you know, how we look at our life circumstances can dictate that. So you can feel abundant now, even if you're got no money in your bank. You can feel healthy now, even if you just ate a whole bunch of junk food and your stomach hurts. You can summon that feeling, as challenging as it might be at times. Like if you just ate a whole bunch of food and your stomach hurts, you can still bring the vibration of health and well-being into your awareness if you do that thoughtless exercise, whatever it is. The easiest, most accessible thing is just freaking meditating, just sitting down, doing some deep breathing. Naturally, deep breathing, your lungs are right next, is like your heart is in the middle of your lungs. This area of your heart center, that is the most powerful energy center we have, way more powerful than the third eye, the crown, the root, the sacral, any of that. Solar
Oh, totally.
plexus, the heart chakra is that's where it's at. So, you bringing yourself into your energy by breathing, the easiest way to meditate, the most simple way to just let go of thoughts, and then let that feeling of divine energy come into your body, come into your conscious awareness. And that's all you got to do. Do that more and more. Even if you do that once a week, bro, once a week to start somewhere for 5 minutes once a week. Then once you do that, you're going to want to do it more. It's not going to be a chore to find space, even while you're at your job or while you're at school or whatever engagements you're doing in the earthly realm. You just have these brief moments where you're just very present. And that moment can bring so much into your life. Just a few moments, because time is relative. So yeah, that's a good rant on that.
Oh man, once again, very beautiful. So one thing I wanted to say is that your heart chakra, you were emphasizing the importance of that. This right here is the shape of a Merkaba, and this is an Oregonite Merkaba, and it represents the top is the sacral chakra, bottom is the root chakra. It's the as above, so below representation in your body. And you notice the only chakra in the geometry of that would be exhibited in both the lower dimensional plane and the higher dimensional plane is the heart chakra. It is the mixture of the earthly realm. You can communicate the higher energetic dimensional energies of love and empathy and all of the stuff that we try and cultivate through this meditative process. And it is a merger of the higher realms and the lower realms. You actually, in your album Tunes for Ascension, you have a beauty. Sorry, just give me a second. In the album Tunes for Ascension, you take people on a journey on Pleiiadian airlines. However, your destination is to the fourth density state of consciousness. First of all, I absolutely love this concept. But what is the meaning and significance of transitioning from a third density state of physicality, represented by the solar plexus chakra, to the fourth density state of love, represented by the heart chakra? And we talked about real quick before, we talked about breathing. If you make sure to slowly start from the base of your root chakra, which would just be make sure your lungs are completely empty. Slowly inhale, everybody who's listening, and let that air fill up every single part of your body. So usually you can get it up to around your throat if you slowly inhale and try to get your whole entire body full of breath. This will bring your energetic awareness back to the body and calm your mind down as well. So sorry, uh, feel free to answer the question again. Sorry. What is the real significance behind the transitioning from the third density to the fourth density state? And then what's the connection between all of that with the densities and dimensions?
Yeah, well, essentially, it's all of our different energy centers reflect a certain vibration, and this vibration shows itself in different ways in our life experience. Is the only way that I feel words can really capture the answer to that. Is, you know, our solar plexus, our root chakra carries a vibration, and that vibration corresponds to things like survival, things like fear, things like family, all these kinds of things. That's the way that we experience that vibration. And then the next one, the sacral chakra, the sexual energy, all that kind of stuff. That's only a vibration, but we experience it as the experience of sexuality, creativity, femininity, all of these things. The solar plexus, the willpower. That's a big one. That's the creational hump that we're going through. That's why it's taken us so long in the willpower chakra, because willpower is the ability to create, essentially. So understanding your willpower, mastering your willpower requires you to integrate your two lower chakras before that. And then once you have your survival and you have your sacral energy integrated and balanced to a capable extent, then you're able to consciously and intentionally create through your willpower. And then as you increase the frequency that you hold the most in your body, in your field, we are always going to be a product of the energies that we are vibrating at. Our life will always reflect what we are resonating at on an emotional level. The emotions are just our energetic state of being. So going from third density, the solar plexus primary vibration, to the heart centered vibration of resonance is going to be reflected in everything that we think of as the heart center: loving, unconditional love, open heartedness, receptivity, clarity, support for one another and this universe, like everything that love entails. So it's literally, going from an energy of willpower, work, creation, masculinity in the unbalanced sense that we've experienced on our planet, into heart centered, loving, open, and then as you go to the next chakra, each chakra below it requires to be integrated in order to get there. So in order to have this heart-centered state of being, we have to understand our root chakra, dive into our root chakra, integrate it, understand our sacral, understand our solar plexus, and understand the heart in order to live in that harmonized state of being. And naturally, we are always on a journey to make our way back to creator, make our way back to source. It's an infinite cycle. So in the realm of physicality, non-physicality, causal reality, all these different perspectives of our dimensional existence, it's only natural that we find our way back to formlessness as we make our way up the ladder in vibration. So in regards to physicality, making its way to, I guess, spirituality, mentality, thought reality, causal reality, all of these subtle levels that are truly beyond what we can even articulate are the natural progression. So as we continue to open our heart, as we collectively, as a whole species, like I said earlier, it's required that all of us live in this state of being. Um, it's only natural that we will eventually become less physical and we will integrate more of an energetic state of being. Whereas far, 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 far in the future, we will wake up one day and realize that we don't have bodies anymore. And it won't be this great solar flash that takes our bodies away and DMT trips us into a whole nother dimension. It's going to be so natural and so periodic that we don't even realize it happening. That's the journey that we're in. We're day by day as we're watching this. We are so much less physical than we were 5, 10 years ago as a species, as a planet, but we are so unaware of it because it's happened gradually, and all of the particles in existence around us reflects this certain vibration. It's not like our body is going to turn to spirit while everything around us is physical. Everything is becoming less physical, so the vibration that we're all at is going to reflect that, and it's not going to be until we step back and realize that planetarily we have become less dense and more light and have been able to hold more light into our body. And that's also how we make the shift, is to be able to. I really love this Hawaiian proverb. It's one of the main teachings in Hawaiian wisdom. It's called the bowl of light. Is that everyone at birth is given a bowl of light, and this light, I mean, this bowl naturally is filled with light, and that is as we live righteously, we live in a loving way, we live pono, righteous in harmony with the earth. Um, that is our natural state. However, if life and negative thoughts and circumstances occur, pebbles or stones are placed in this bowl of light. And most people don't realize that there's stones in their bowl of light. And with each stone that's in the bowl, more light is displaced and the light pours out. And if it happens gradually, you don't become aware. And this is representative. Basically, it's describing our shadow self, our repressed aspects of our psyche from this life or past lives or whatever that we're not paying conscious attention to. And once we recognize that there are stones in this bowl, the only logical thing that we can do is flip the bowl upside down, let all the stones fall out, bring the bowl back up, and then it'll fill with light again. And we have to do that every time the stones come in, recognize that they're there, and then do the challenging work to flip it and start over again and be rebirthed every time that we go through a humbling experience, every time that we think that we know it, we think we got it, we think we're spiritual, we think we're loving, till something happens where a trigger comes up that we didn't really fully heal. And then the stone gets put in again. You can't just take the stone out. You got to flip the whole thing out all over again, put the dark and the light back at zero. And we got to continuously humble ourselves. And that's the way that we naturally get into this heart chakra state, because what I feel is really relevant for people to be talking on the internet, helping each other about more and more, is actual guidance in a day-to-day human circumstance as to what this transition looks like. And I really feel like
Oh,
it is
100%.
recognizing your shadow aspects. It's not about just all the spiritual, it's about we're in here in a human, like, seriously complex circumstance. All of us have, oh man, life on earth is so wild, man, and it can bring up so much stuff in us. And on a realistic way to transitioning into this higher state of being is doing exactly that. As a great opportunity for growth is relationships. Not okay, I just got a notification on Zoom. My battery's running low, but we still
Oh
got some.
no. Okay, yeah, let me know
Yeah, I got
whenever you gotta pop off. But yeah,
yeah,
I
I
just
got I got
also sorry, what?
I got 20%. I got 20% right now, so we'll go till it's like 10 or 5 or something.
Okay, sounds good. Cool. Well, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
continue. You were going off.
Yeah, the one thing that I'll say is I've really resonated with the perspective that has been presented recently, where the main opportunities for an acceleration of our growth in this way is either finding a guru, finding a literal teacher or mentor that has already found the path and can lead you to it and like just refine you, like literally tell you all that, or relationships. Doesn't necessarily have to be intimate or romantic. However, it does happen that romantic and intimate sacred relationships are usually the strongest and most accelerated route to chiseling away all of the different aspects of ego that are enacting in your day-to-day life. You can't hide from a relationship. If both people are truly committed to being in a state of unconditional love, each and every time that some aspect of themselves which has been cut off from love becomes poked at, you know, man, relationships is one of the great mysteries of human life, and that's because it is spiritual development at its finest. If two people come together and they realize this, that is where true refinement can be an accelerated path. When you see the other person's perspectives as bringing out shadow aspects of yourself, and not one person's right, one person's wrong, but we're both trying to understand ourselves better, hear everyone's perspective, take what's resonant and work on it. What are ways that I get defensive? What are ways that I get irritable? What are ways that I cut myself off when things are hurtful? What are ways that I act irrationally? What are ways that my judgment becomes skewed? What are ways that I'm just taken off of my emotional balance in whatever circumstance? And again, this isn't just intimate relationships. This could be friendships. Another great example is family members. When you see the most triggering life circumstances as something not to run away from. And that could be really hard for a lot of people to hear. If they have a mom or a dad or a parent or a brother or a sister or a relationship partner that just absolutely gets under their skin and they feel so justified. Oh, my partner doesn't listen to my heartfelt feelings. I'm entitled to these things. Oh, my partner doesn't want to have these deep conversations. Oh, whatever the heck you think it is in the other person, it really is you and your opposition to that. You should never feel in a fully secure and integrated state. And this is so hard to accomplish. That's the goal, is it's a lifelong journey. If you ever feel like you would be okay, your relationship would be okay, your relationship with your mom or your dad or your significant other would be okay if they were to just do blank, if they were to just not do blank, if anything has to do with them, it really just has to do with you. And that is true spiritual growth in a real human way, is recognizing in these complex physical circumstances where emotions are involved, different perspectives are involved, your passionate beliefs are involved, being able to eliminate all sorts of ego in these circumstances is our lifelong work. And that's what I feel is like spiritual refinement in a realistic way, rather than just meditating your way into the fifth dimension. It's both of those things. It's finding the space for these thoughtless practices so that you keep sane, I feel like, and you're able to integrate everything. But the real work is in human life, and I feel like that's what's required to make our way up in our frequency, is to fully surrender to the challenging circumstances that life presents to us. That's yeah, that's my TED talk on that.
Oh, 100%. And when you do have these things that you're going through in life, specifically relationships with your high, not your higher self, but your with your other significant other, or with a family member, or with a friend, you usually uh the root of the quarrels, or the stuff that they have that you don't like about them, but also the stuff that you do to them that they're not happy with, is rooted, and it's almost a poison that's emanating from those pebbles that's in the jar of light. And if you don't flip it over and have that constant refinement process you were talking about earlier, those poisons will start to seep into your other relationships. And you don't realize that they're both people have poisons and it's a two-way bridge. And if you give more poison, it'll strengthen the bond of that bridge and it'll make it an easier pathway for the future. And it's almost like imagine if you're doing mushrooms and you it resets your neural pathways and it's like a complete hard reset. Like that's something that you have to do within yourself. You have to take those pathways that are toxic and not good for you or the other person, but each person usually has their own hurts and traumas from their relationship that contributes to the way they feel about it. And one thing that we need to realize is that feelings are so important, and oftentimes us as humans, we feel like other people are constantly hurting us, but then we don't realize that when we are hurt, we also extend that hurt onto others. And any person who is working in this industry, everybody does it. And I do it. And I had a bad day a couple days ago. It was a 420 a couple days ago. Happy belated 420. But I was doing some work most of the day and then missed out on all my sales. And I was a grouchy little guy, and I was like putting all of that poison onto everybody, and it wasn't a good thing. And I had to stop myself and be like, okay, if I'm giving myself poison, I'm going to give that to other people as well. And like, you just have to nip it in the butt and get yourself to the state of thoughtlessness, like you were talking about previously. And you have to say, hey, I'm going to hard reset my mind, focus on something more positive, try and get myself back into that state of flow where source and love and positivity. Because you talked about fear, and usually there's a bunch of other co-emotions that are mixed in with fear. You have love and you have fear, but you also have the compounded like anger, hate, anxiety, all of this different stuff that will come similarly. And then on the love side, you have like compassion, empathy, you have like selflessness and all this stuff. And all my big spiel on that going to show that it's really important that you always like are centered like you're talking about and continually aware of these energies that are always around you, because you're going to have these demons or the darkness or whatever this stuff is that's inside of you. It's a constant infinite journey for a reason, and you always have to be aware of if you had certain things start to grow in the last year or so or whatever. Not you specifically obviously, but just people in general. Like if you have a certain new pebble that you weren't previously aware of, or there was one in like a past life or a different trauma that's so deeply hidden, like it's so easy for us to say, hey, I've got all my shit taken care of because I've done this work. But like in reality, you've got this like giant stone that's snuck down somewhere with some leaves on it that's just been hidden for a long, long time. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um I was wanting to
Yeah.
ask you, sorry, I wanted to ask you a question. If you were able to sit
Mhm.
down and have a conversation with a musician that has passed and a person from history in general, this can be a person from like spiritual, like in the spiritual movement of anything, it can be whatever you think of, who would those two people be and just why?
I love these questions, man. It's gonna leave me probably, afterwards I'll be like, oh man, I could have said this person, but let's see, musician, somebody that has or has passed.
If they're still alive and you want to have a conversation with them too, you can do that as well. It's a do whatever. But while you're thinking, I wanted to mention to everybody, sorry, that your new single "Trust" is out with
Mhm.
your fiance, and it is a beautiful song. Everybody should go check it out. It's available on Spotify, Apple Music, and mostly anywhere that you get your music, right?
Yeah, everywhere. I will have to say we're not engaged quite yet, but
Oh
my
no,
my
I'm so
beloved
sorry. Your
Mana.
partner. Oh no.
It's all love, bro. It's all love. But yeah, Mana Le Aloha and myself. The song's Trust. You can get it on Spotify, YouTube, everywhere. iTunes, Apple Music, all that kind of stuff. But man, I gotta say, in regards to the person that just keeps coming up is Bob Marley. I would just love to hang out with that guy, man. I'd love to just kick
Totally.
at him, just chill with him, just see where his consciousness was really at. And yeah, he's just who floods into my consciousness at first glance. And in regards to a person from history, man, I mean, yeah, I'm super biased, but I'm gonna probably go with Alan Watts, bro. I really, I really do love that Alan Watts guy just because I've listened to him when I was younger for so long. I used to always say he was like the father of my spiritual journey. I was when I didn't know what was going on. I was like 12 years old having all these crazy cosmic things. I was just going to sleep every night listening to Alan Watts, man. But yeah, there's all kinds of other people, spiritual influencers that I would love to have conversation with. I could say things like Yogananda. I could say people like Babaji. I would love to talk to Sri Yukteswar. But in reality, the conversations would be very short. They wouldn't have much to say because the truth is very simple. But Alan Watts likes to play with words in a similar way that I do enjoy myself, which is seeing them as art, seeing words as like a canvas to relay numerous different perspectives of the same truth, because the truth itself is so easy and so simple and quite anticlimactic. But dancing around that truth time and time again with these elaborate linguistic rhythms is obviously, as through my music it's represented, something that brings me great joy. And I feel that way about Alan Watts as well. I feel like he shares that passion. Many other people as well. But yeah, I got to go with him, man. I'd love to drink some tea with that man.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like shining a flashlight on like a bunch of different angles of something, and then taking the lights or turning the lights on and revealing the whole entire truth of it. And you're like, now I understand the in-depth complexities of this so much more because I got to see every different perspective and angle about it. And that's one of the beautiful things that you do in your albums and your work is that you take each song and you put a different perspective on it and you say I'm going to look at it from this angle, and you get a person to have a very specific feeling, and it's like a very positive resonation. Like you literally say music and sound is powerful. Music is powerful, man. It really is, because you can get yourself tuned into a specific feeling, and you can be driving, you can be laying down, you can be doing whatever, but that feeling that you're feeling, that's something that's not something you normally feel in your day-to-day life, is the same person that everybody else is same thing everybody else is feeling as well when they listen to that music. And it's a really powerful transmutation tool. Like the Great Pyramid of Giza uses sound and resonance in their structure and everything. Like you have many different ancient cultures utilize sound. Are there any specific frequencies that you'd like to recommend to people to use? Do you use frequencies for meditation when you do?
I will say when I lived in the city all day, every day, bro, day and night, I was playing 5 to 8 hertz kind of stuff in my room and just
Yeah.
keeping that vibration around. But now that I live on this beautiful island with birds and all kinds of, I don't really do that much more. I try to keep my electronics off. But
Yeah.
the best frequency I would say is nature. The best
Yeah.
frequency I would say, there's no better tone on YouTube or Spotify that you could find other than finding a nice little park. I remember in Jersey, I used to always go to a cemetery, man, because that was the only place nearby that I could find some real nice grandfather trees, and you go wherever you got to go, man,
Mhm.
and be with nature. But yeah, whatever tones feel good, man. There's all these different hertz and different, you know, there's no right or wrong one. There's the one that is resonant to you at the time. Binaural beats are great. Healing frequencies on YouTube are great. They're great background ambiance while you're in a creative flow. If you don't have access to nature in that moment, they're really conducive for creative inspiration and productivity and things of this nature. Meditation, spiritual practices. Uh, just find the tone that feels good. Listen to your body. There's no logic that dictates anything better than the wisdom of the body. That goes with food, that goes with diet, that goes with lifestyle, that goes with beliefs, that goes with religion, that goes with yoga, that goes with practices, goes with exercising. There's not a single thing that will guide you better. No spiritual teacher or book or teaching that can guide us better than our own body. And that's something that I feel is very important for people to remember, especially with the topic earlier about how everyone's journey is different and equally as important and equally, um, yeah, as significant on this journey. Because someone might be, yeah, it goes without saying, just because you're a vegan or meditating or all these kinds of things doesn't mean that somebody can't do the opposite and have just as much connection with source, as hard as that might be for some people to recognize. Find what works for you, listen to your body, and realize that your body doesn't have the universal best way to do something. It has the subjective best way to do your something. And everyone's body got their own inner mechanism and guidance like that. So honor other people's bodies, even if it might be an absolute repulsive disresonance to your body. That's the lesson. That's the teaching. If we all got along, there would be no lesson in it. It's learning how to accept somebody else's journey, especially when that person is close to you, significant other, a family member, a friend, whatever, you know, being able to accept where they're at. Yogananda would always say so beautifully, man, people would come to him and they'd say, oh, in the Kriya path, in a monk life, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't have sex, you don't overeat, you don't blah, 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 blah. He's like, what can we do? And then Yogananda would say, you like to drink alcohol? You like to get drunk? Like, yeah. He's like, you can do that. He's like, you like to smoke? Yeah. He's like, you can do that. He's like, you like to have sex with women? Whoever, you could do that. He's like, what do you mean? I'm very confused. And he was like, you can do everything that you want. Everything is, we have free will. But if you continue to do these practices, if you continue to bring God into your being, to continue to do the kriyas, stay on the right path. He's like, I can't promise you that the desire to continue doing those things will continue. That was what really unlocked a lot for me in that
Mhm.
perspective of looking at life, is that you don't have to go against the current and go against the flow to do everything that you feel that you're supposed to do. You can't do everything all at once. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's about being patient with where you're at right now and making the next best decision, the next harmonious choice, the decision and action that feels good to you in that moment. If you're in a deep slump and you've been like overwhelmed by emotions, getting your butt kicked by life, so to speak, you lost your job, you lost your dog, you lost your partner, lost your house, whatever. Like, if the next best thing you can do is wake up and go on a walk like before sunrise and go to sleep after whatever, but just go on that walk. Like, it could be something that small, and then that starts a chain of reactions that, you go on the walk, you feel better, you get a thought, you remember about this friend that you haven't talked to since high school, you have coffee with them, they tell you about this job opportunity, you start working that job, you start at that job, you meet the love of your life, and then you start to have the money and the girl that you want, and then all this stuff is how life works, man. It's about riding the feeling of what feels good and not thinking about how it's gonna happen. Not thinking about how it's gonna happen, because
Yeah,
that's how
I
you
think.
stop it from happening.
Yeah, thinking about how it's going to happen is like if you were to be paddling down a river and you would put your oars directly in the water and try and stop the current. You get yourself out of the flow of that. Like the more you let go and the more you allow yourself to just look around and be absorbent and be in the willingness of learning all this shit and like saying, "Hey, whatever
Mm-hmm.
the higher power is leading me to do, I don't necessarily know in where I am right now in the state. I don't know where I'm supposed to be in 10 years or even 6 months. It's like tomorrow I could have an opportunity come up and it's like that could lead to something else, like you're just talking about. And it's like, don't close yourself off to
Mm-hmm.
things unless it feels like there will be signs that God, that the universe will give you and let you know if something's right or wrong. It's very apparent, and even if it's just a feeling deep in your gut, like there is, our bodies are energetic temples. We are, oh, we take in frequencies and we send out frequencies. So when we feel frequencies that aren't necessarily positive or what we want to be aligned with, we'll get notifications.
Yeah,
So,
I
oh,
will
you're good,
say
man.
my device has hit that 5% mark, so my brightness went down at the. So yeah, we probably got time for one more question before I drop
Okay.
out here. Probably if I drop
So,
out because the device died.
okay. Last question is going to be, what advice can you give to others, or what would you, who would, or What advice can you give to others who would like to start following their dreams, whatever it may be?
Start simple. Make sure that your dreams are completely independent of financial or social acceptance. Make sure that it's something that you would do if money didn't exist, if money had no factor, if it had nothing to do with how people accepted you. Make these simple check marks clear. It goes without saying, but it doesn't sometimes. Make sure your intentions are good. And kind of, we were talking about it the whole podcast, just be in a state, whatever takes you to it, that allows you to be receptive to your natural, inspired impulses with how you want your life to go, because your true being is always nudging you towards where you're supposed to be, and all you have to do is feel it. We live in an emotional universe. When you talk to the universe, it doesn't hear anything. When you resonate a feeling out to the universe, it feels every bit of it. And the key is to make those feelings so clear that they relay your thoughts, they relay your intention, is to feel yourself into where you want to be. Feel aligned with your actions and hold that energy while you're doing the action, and
That's the
start
key right there.
small and see the big picture. Be patient, be loving, be open, be flexible. Life will bring you exactly where you want to go, but I can promise you that it will take the route that you would never want to take. But that route is what brings you all of the lessons that you need to be there. So, yeah, most of the things I could say for that, we talked for this whole discussion, and just
Yeah.
be
That
patient
was,
with yourself, be
yeah.
loving with yourself, and gentle with yourself, because you don't force it, you source it. Your natural state of being, your
Yeah.
true childlike state is what's good.
Looks like his phone just died, so that may be the end of the conversation. But I wanted to thank have everybody send Pleiades some love and give him some thanks for coming on. That was some absolutely beautiful messages that he was saying. Really ties in a lot of what I work on myself with Organite. And I think that if you keep yourself into that state of love and heartfelt, and you really do feel your way through reality, it's going to work out better for you. And so, thank you so much for coming on today. And I hope everybody has a great day listening to this. And insert code Oregonite, Oregonite, at my website. It will give you 25% off of any pyramid or anything you'd like. Your whole entire order will be 25% off. And that you can get a Giza pyramid, you can get a Merkaba, you can get anything. Also hit me up if you have any custom orders and ideas you'd like. Also, if you're looking at this, hi everybody. I've got this mushroom right here. There's little Oregonite mushrooms. I started making different sizes of those. This one's a purple one. They're really nice and pretty not too bad on the budget either. So hit me up. I'd love to work with you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. It was a little bit of a rush job. We had some technical difficulties, but we made it through it, and I think it went pretty well. We got some great wisdom today, so I hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for listening again. And this has been the Oregonite Hours.